This is some of those memories that I could never, ever erase from my brain. I could probably have all my memories erased when I'm old, when I reach very, very old age, except this one, because this one is imprinted in my brain. This one is burned like a scar in my heart, in my eyes, in my soul, in my heart. And so I decided to share it so other people know. It was a very long time ago, probably 20 years ago. And I was living in Los Angeles, and I could swear it was a Sunday, and it was a steamy, very hot, dry summer day in LA. Temperatures probably in the hundreds. The air smell, like that particular smell that LA always smells like, which is like a combination of ozone and tar and pine trees. And particularly in summer days, that smell was so pungent, so overwhelming. Pollution in LA is just so ugly. So we decided to go up the hills, up the mountains, up to Los Angeles Crest, which is a national park in LA. And the mountains are majestic. I can only compare them with the Rocky Mountains, even though they look different, they're built differently, but they're just as majestic. This is a big, ginormous chain of mountains that belong to the San Gabriel chain of mountains. And in the wintertime, there's snow. This is where I saw snow. My first time I seen snow was in Los Angeles Crest, because there's no snowing in LA. So you just have to go up the mountains. And some places in Los Angeles Crest you can go and you can ski a little bit, and it's just truly a beautiful, beautiful sight. Nonetheless, it's wild territory, and on summer they were filled with rattlesnakes. There's so many rattlesnakes on summer. And so this day I took a trip with my friends, go up the hill, up the mountains, and trying to escape from the heat. As we were driving up, I remember my heart pounding faster and faster, and I just could not have a reason why. I've been in Los Angeles Crest so many times before that. It was usually a place for communion for me, because I've always been very interested in nature and just being alone and being away from people. And I remember that particular day, this dread felt my heart. I just could not shake this off. And it was me, the only girl, and two guys, and none of them were really paying much attention to me. We were reckless, we were young. I was 18 or 19 years old, and they were about the same age. And we just did not really care about much. I remember we were going a 4x4 truck. So after driving for probably over an hour or an hour and a half, we were so high in the peaks of those mountains that you cannot see the city anymore. You can only see mountains left, mountains right. And when you look ahead, you can see up there pine trees so dark, almost touching the sky, almost touching the clouds. And we just kept on climbing and climbing, and my heart kept racing and racing and racing, and I just could not figure out why. We finally encountered this street that was no longer a street. There was no asphalt on it. It was not a regular road. By this time, all the cars and all the people was left behind a long time ago. And so when we saw this road, it was dirt road. So my friends decided to do maybe some 4x4 up this road, which these roads are completely prohibited because they are roads used for firefighters in LA. And I think there were roads that were really close to towers. And I'm assuming there were radio towers because back then there was no cell phones. So I remember that I felt like, well, maybe this is why my heart is racing so much, because I knew we were going to do something stupid like this, and maybe it shouldn't have come. But at this point, the air was fresh. I was not hot anymore. The smell of ozone and tar was gone, and you can only smell a dry air filled with pine tree smells and aroma, and it was just so pleasant. But nonetheless, I still had that fear in my heart. I still have that sense of dread that something bad or something weird was gonna happen. And as we parked the truck to the side of this road. We were in the very top of this peak, and it was so high, so high and so quiet. You can feel the breeze in your face. I remember feeling the breeze in my face and the hair tickling my ears. And I could just smell that pure air and aroma of pine trees. My heart kept racing. And I know my two companions pull out little chairs that you used to go to the beach when you used to at the beach, and they put it in the ground, and they were leaning against the truck, the bottom part of the truck. They put the chairs in the ground, leaning against the truck. I know they had some refreshments in the truck. They pulled their refreshments, they sat down, and I remember they were just looking at their scenery. Since we were so high, there was scenery in both ways, because we were in the peak and very, very top and peak of this mountain. So if you will look to the right was the scenery, if you will look to the left was the scenery. They were to my left. They sat down. The truck was between me and them. And I just kept feeling that something bad was gonna happen. I figured that maybe I was gonna encounter a rattlesnake, or maybe even worse, this is actually, and after all, grizzly territory. Maybe a bear? I was so afraid of bears, but then I figure we're so exposed in here, a bear would not approach us. A bear can only attack and approach and feel threatened when you surprise them. So a bear were heroes, and a bear will not cross our path. And then I just kept thinking, and I just kept watching. I was vigilant because I was certain something was going to happen. And suddenly I heard it. A sound that I could only hear in my brain. Something caught my attention. Something whispered my name. And I looked to the front, and I could see all these pine trees. And behind the pine trees, the sun was setting. And to my surprise, the whole reason of my anxiety, of my dread, of my fear was right in front of me. And he was there, tall and proud. And he was staring right at me. He was staring right at my soul. I could feel him piercing me. I saw his entire outline, his entire shape. I saw his height. I saw how he looked. I could see the reflection of the color of his fur against the sun. A dark copper color that almost had a golden outline, almost like if it was a magical creature. And for a second, I was completely unable to breathe, to move, to think. I was engaged in a secret moment between the universe and me. A part of the universe that very few experience. A moment that belonged only and forever to me. I could stare and I stare, and in seconds that seemed like hours, my brain was starting to make a reason. What is this that I'm seeing? And I just felt that he was thinking the same thing. I felt that as strange as he was in my world, I was probably even more strange in his universe. And in seconds that lasted in my heart hours, we just looked at each other, and I absorbed and I observed every inch of his body. And just like that, like the most noble creature in the universe, the king of the forest, he just turned to the side, walked away, and left. The breath came into my lungs, and just realizing that I just saw something that is not normal, something that is not from this realm. I started yelling at my companions, "Something's watching us, something's watching us, something's watching us." They did not believe me. They did not really pay much attention to me, but I probably was very annoying because we left. This was so far the most incredible experience I have had in my life, and it will be a memory that I will have forever imprinted in my soul.